Hypothalamus artificial intelligence, HI. Digital transformation powered by real-time autonomous and intelligent algorithms. Presents the short conference, Human Intelligence and Artificial Intelligence. It corresponds to one of several short conferences, in which the advances of HI research are presented, on the topic of artificial brains and decision-making artificial intelligence. The list of short introductory lectures to decision-making artificial intelligence are presented in the picture. Conference prepared and edited by Jesus Velasquez Bermudez. His resume may be found on LinkedIn. Engineer Jesus Velasquez Bermudez wants to make it clear that his knowledge in neuroscience is very limited, and that therefore inaccuracies can be found in some concepts of this presentations. Its knowledge comes from the serious study of many scientific works of experts in the field, which have helped to visualize what is presented here. On the other hand, it is also made clear that Engineer Velasquez Bermudez is not an advanced expert in traditional artificial neural networks. He understands them properly. The vision that prevails is that of a mathematical modeler, with extensive knowledge of the appropriate mathematics to perform this work. We define augmented artificial intelligence, AAI, as the creation of artificial intelligence from the neuroscience of human intelligence, integrated with the mathematical laws of smart physical systems. Some fundamental activities of the brain are pattern recognition, decision-making, creative thinking, and language. Some elements of the brain related to the language. Human knowledge is supported by two types of models. Mental model. It is the abstraction or conception of what is perceived by individuals about a given issue or problem. Mental models are constructed with the knowledge, experiences, assumptions, perceptions, intuitions, informal inductions, deductions, and values of the individual. They are elementary models that are not exposed in public and therefore have a validity limited to the individual. They have their origin in the evolution of the human being, hominization, from the most primitive ancestors, Australopithecus, to the appearance of our species as we know it today, Homo sapiens. All human beings manage mental models, very quick to solve, and, in their absence, easily copy themselves from a more influential individual, and more recently, are implanted in human beings through the ochlocracy of mental models distributed by social networks. When intelligence works under this model, we will call it mental intelligence, which exists and develops in all humans. Some elements of the brain. Second, mathematical model is a scientific representation which make use of mathematical language to describe or to explain the portion of reality that is of particular interest to an individual. It is the result of the research carried out by certain humans. The mathematical models are growing as analytical tools that provide greater processing speed to the investigation. For its understanding requires formal training in mathematics and in the science being modeled. These models increase the intelligence of human beings, creating large differences, chasms, between them. When intelligence works under this model, we will call it mathematical intelligence. This ability to understand mathematics, and to handle it, does not extend to all humans. It is necessary to acquire knowledge and experience, to handle this intelligence properly. At present, its development is directly related to the ability to handle computational and mathematical technologies. To evolve from mental intelligence to mathematical intelligence, the human being requires another type of intelligence that allows him to perform the analyses to understand and discover the models that govern the universe that is written in the language of mathematics, Galileo Galilei. We will call this intelligence analytical creative intelligence. This intelligence can be considered as the highest level of human intelligence, since it is what allows to grow in the discovery of mathematical laws, and in general new knowledge, which is the engine of the scientific and technologic of humanity. In practice, very few humans have this ability, and discipline. Mental intelligence and pattern recognition. Mental model is oriented to identify patterns, its foundations are not mathematical, and respond to data processing, and evaluation of eventual, and systematic, experiences. It is based on good practices. Pattern recognition is a data analysis method that uses machine artificial intelligence algorithms to automatically recognize patterns and regularities in data. This data can be anything from text and images to sounds, or other definable qualities. Pattern recognition systems can recognize familiar patterns quickly and accurately. Pattern recognition is the activity that most performs the human being, for example, identifies images of people, foods, hydroclimatic conditions, traffic conditions, texts, sounds, and etc. All this with the aim of establishing the conditions of the environment, in the past, the present, and the future, and based on this knowledge make decisions. How the brain identifies patterns is not properly known, but it is mimicked by traditional artificial intelligence. Mathematical intelligence and decision-making. Decision-making process is the final objective of any person or organization, which seeks to make the best decisions from its point of view, its criterion. This process, when carried out in real time, requires a great capacity for mathematical calculation, to handle the complexity of the real world, which increases over time, since the universe increases its entropy at each moment. When humanity began its evolution, it only had mental models to support its decisions, which seriously limited the speed of the evolution of the species, due to the little, almost zero, capacity of mental models, which led the human being to make decisions with very few calculations, or without them. Thanks to analytical intelligence, human beings developed their mathematical intelligence, which has led us to Industry 4.0. In 1943, Warren McCulloch and Walter Pitts created the concept of artificial neural networks. They published the paper, A Logical Calculus of the Ideas Immanent in Nervous Activity. McCulloch and Pitts tried to understand how the brain could produce highly complex patterns, by using many basic cells that are connected. They designed their system based on as they believed our brains work, and patterned it after the biological model of how neurons work with each other. The neural networks were growing, and in practice they took the name of artificial intelligence, displacing other methodologies and technologies that also generate artificial intelligence in the machines. Then, the starting point of the name of artificial intelligence is associated to the pattern recognition. Today, the association is direct, and it seems that artificial intelligence is reduced to this function of the human brain, what has concentrated great amount of scientific research in working in this direction, forgetting other human brain functions. It seems that artificial intelligence is reduced to the emulation of mental intelligence, whose function is little known and explained. That is why it is known by scientists, that neural networks can predict how a system will behave, but that in general the parameters found cannot be explained, they have no clear content, just as the humans cannot explain how this function works in the human brain. But this approach cannot be said to have been unsuccessful, as it effectively and massively replaces activities that ordinary humans did not think machines could perform. At first, neural networks were aimed at finding ways of connectivity of artificial neurons, seeking to improve the results of prediction. Something like a statistical model in which many algebraic models are tested, until a good solution is found. Little has evolved to try to explain content in this connectivity. This is the case with GPT. Generative Pre-trained Transformers, GPT, are a family of neural network models that uses the transformer architecture, and is a key advancement in artificial intelligence, powering generative AI applications such as ChatGPT. GPT models give applications the ability to create human-like text and content, images, music, and more, and answer questions conversationally. Organizations across industries are using GPT models and generative AI for conda, text digesting, content generation, and search bots. But their ability to solve real decision-making problems, different from advanced pattern recognition, is minimal, if not nil. For many data scientists, data-oriented models are the only artificial intelligence out there. This includes academic teaching. This entails a problem of development of artificial intelligence, since many executives and managers not experts in AI, think that the only artificial intelligence that exists is predictive. Then, it is applications such as ChatGPT, and the like, that will be considered the AI of the future. The displaced methodology is formal mathematical modeling using algebraic equations, and/or differential equations. This is related to the use of mathematical programming, or optimization, to support decision-making. It is easy to show that in most companies, mathematical programming is not considered to produce knowledge, like the human. This is because decision-making does not concern researchers who promote artificial intelligence. Practitioners, perhaps fanatics, of traditional AI, have classified mathematical programming algorithms as the exact methods, not with the intention of highlighting them and promoting their learning. On the contrary, they disqualify them because in theory they cannot be used. But this is false. Thus, with the aim of repeating patterns, several meta-heuristics have been created trying to perform optimization processes, supported by very weak mathematical laws, which simply rely on imitating patterns of behavior of smart beings. But thinking, what to imitate ants, or whales, etc., produces better, or equal, results than optimization based on mathematical laws, is like expecting that these beings had discovered the theory of relativity. Joseph Louis Lagrange was an Italian mathematician and astronomer, later naturalized French. In mathematical optimization, the method of Lagrange multipliers is a strategy for finding the local maxima and minima of a function subject to equality constraints. Using the implicit function theorem, the seminal Lagrange idea is to convert a constrained problem into a form such that the theory of an unconstrained problem can still be applied. Lagrange's work is absolutely sound, based on formal mathematical laws, and not based on the observation of mental models of special smart animals. But their knowledge involves formal, and not just superficial, study. To think that a real-world problem can be solved better by a meta-heuristic, faster, more precisely, and closer to the optimum, than an exact method, is utopian. Although in its beginnings traditional artificial intelligence did not look at neuroscientific studies as a fundamental support, there are currently clear trends of recognized researchers, who consider that neuroscientific studies should be the basis for understanding the functioning of neural networks in the brain. Two of these researchers are: while humans in prehistoric times did not have access to mathematical intelligence, because they were creating it, today it is the engine of human knowledge, and ideally should be handled by all humans. Unfortunately, this is not the case. Therefore, its management must be part of the artificial intelligence that humanity is creating. The same thing happens with creative intelligence, the knowledge created by scientists, and the way to produce it is part of today's human intelligence. Proof of the above is the speed with which we produce knowledge. It took many centuries, hundreds, to produce algebra, but mathematical knowledge every day occurs faster, and extends its borders. For example, since 1947, with the appearance of the digital computer, a new science has been created: mathematics for computers. First monoprocessors, today parallels. This must be part of the artificial intelligence of the future. When the previous trend changes, humanity will have begun its disappearance process. Enrique Krauss, in the prologue of Cyber Leviathan, wrote, "Artificial intelligence is restructuring human life in unimaginable ways. With it, certain occupations in which we consider human intellectual and emotional capacity indispensable will end up becoming extinct, replaced by incredibly complex systems capable of emulating it. This makes our situation very different from that of 2 centuries ago. This time the machine will be able to completely replace the human being with his physical and cognitive abilities, and with this he could inevitably deprive a very high percentage of the population of work experience, which has been an essential element in human identity.